Toyobe is with us here in the studios this morning. Payo, good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Kinsley. Good morning. Good morning, Kyrian.
Okay.
Good morning, Bayo, and welcome. It's good to see you again today. All right, Daily Trust newspaper. The Daily Trust newspaper. Senators divided over bill to regulate donkey business. The story is on page 6. Mambila Power. Senate queries federal government over 812 million naira for land surveying and demarcation. It's on page 4. 19 killed, others missing as bandits attack Katsina village. The story is on page 3. Now the lead story this morning. Northern elders, Afenifere, back reps quests to create state police with 4 riders to that bill passes second reading. You are lagging behind, Northern group tells governors. It will drag us back to colonial era, Tanko Yakasai. Amoteku, Ebubagu, crude forms of state police, Peremadu. That's on page 5. And the photo story has a display of food items at a Kotu market in Lagos yesterday. Now below that we have Buhari to the army, change your counter-insurgency tactics. And below that, that's at the foot of Daily Trust, dollar videos. Court orders Ganduje to pay 0.8 million to Daily Nigerian publisher. It's on page 3. On page 4 of the Daily Trust is PIB, Senate reps raise harmonization committees. Abuja residents groan as power shortage lingers. That's on page 22. Kinsley.
All right. We'll also take a look at the Nation newspaper from above the nameplate. Senate and House joint panel to harmonize PIP. More groups protest. That's the writer to that headline. This is the kicker. Bandits. We are holding 121 Kaduna school pupils. That's on page 6. Bandits. We are holding 121 Kaduna school pupils. World Bank excludes Nigeria from $4 billion COVID-19 cash. APC extends membership registration in 4 states. And then below the nameplate, Okonkwo rejects Anambra PDP governorship primary results. Kanu and the Igboho presidency defense crackdown. Buhari orders crackdown on kidnappers. That's the rider to that. Federal government launches 1.5 megawatts solar grid for ministries. That was yesterday at Mabushi. North elders and groups reject South 2023 zoning demand. With 2 riders, groups kick against ban on open grazing. South reps back governors. And then at the foot of the front page, 5.2 billion naira fraud. Court remands ex-JAMB registrar. 3 killed in Niger communal clash.
Thank you, Kinsley. Let's start with the update on the students of the Bethel Secondary School that were kidnapped at Maramara along Kaduna-Kachia Highway. The proprietor of the school, Reverend Yahya Jangadu, says that the bandits called on the telephone and he said and told them that the students are in good condition. He was allowed to speak with a few of the students, and one of the students counted their number and confirmed that there are 121 in the hands of the bandits. The proprietor said that with the 28 that were rescued by the security, the 154 students in the hostel are accounted for. Fortunately, 2 soldiers were killed in an encounter that saw to the rescue of 28 students. Meanwhile, the Commissioner for Internal Security of Kaduna State, Samuel Arua, who visited the community, met protests by parents and protesters. His convoy was blocked and the protesters chanted, "Go back, go back." The commissioner had to reverse and leave the area. Meanwhile, the management of the school said they have briefed Kaduna State government and the government has promised to do everything possible to rescue the students. The Punch newspaper is publishing that the bandit had actually written a letter to the school to say they were coming on Tuesday, but somehow they sprung the surprise and struck on Monday. The proprietor said that that is sensationalism and it is a lie, that nothing like that actually happened. Meanwhile, it is said that the bandits have demanded rice and other foodstuff to feed the students in their community. The proprietor says that he will not hesitate to seek the assistance of Sheikh Mahmoud Gumi to rescue the students. There's the story Kirian read about 19 persons having been killed. This happened in Sawa village in Basari local government area of Katsina State. Actually, the bandits came on motorcycles and were chasing the villagers around and shooting at them. This is because earlier on, the bandits claimed that 2 of their persons had been killed. So it was now their turn. They came and was having a gun melee in that village, and as a result of which they killed 19 persons. They were said to have converged at another village known as Yarulumo, where they were playing music and celebrating their so-called victory in that village. Banditry sometimes is taking the back foot because a combination of security men, hunters, and vigilance group are gaining grounds against them. But sometimes they do spring surprises in some of the local villages, particularly in Katsina and Zamfara State. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has charged the army to develop new strategies to tackle the insurgency and other criminal elements in the country. In a message to the Nigerian Army Day celebration, he acknowledged that the Nigerian Army and the other security agencies have saved Nigeria from disintegration. While celebrating the achievements of the Army and other security agencies, he charged officers and men to evolve new strategies, methods, and techniques in winning the hearts or minds or in the current phase of the operation. He was represented by the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi, retired. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Farouk Yahya, says that July 6 is set aside to mark the role of the Army in resolving Nigerian civil war. The Nigerian Army has embarked on several civil services to their various communities where they are. And also in the Northeast, the governors of the Northeast Forum have converged at Jalingo and have joined the security to capitalize on the current division in the ranks of the insurgents to defeat them totally. Speaking at the opening, the chairman of the Jalingo of the Northeast Governors Forum and Governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, says that the meeting is necessary for the regional cooperation to tackle the challenges in the region. The host governor, Governor Darius Isiaku, called for support to actualize the Mambila Hydro project. He also lamented that farmer-herder clashes conflict has taken a toll on food security, a high crime rate, as well as, and there's need to work together to address them. He called for a fast track of federal government's exploration of oil in the Lake Chad and the Benue Trough Basin. Meanwhile, former Minister of Youth and Sports, Solomon Dalong, says that political leaders, especially the elite, are the ones responsible for mutual suspicion, hatred, and mistrust that is fueling insecurity in the country. He was speaking at the conference of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics at Bauchi. He lamented that if the trend continues, then it will be very difficult to put lives of innocent citizens in danger. He stressed that unless such bad leaders eschew their sentiments and reset their values, we cannot surmount the security challenges bedeviling the nation now. There is some good news from the National Assembly regarding the Petroleum Industry Bill. The National Assembly has constituted conference committee to harmonize the position within the two chambers. It may be recalled that when the bill was passed, the Senate approved 3% for the host communities, while the House of Representatives approved 5%. In fact, the spokesman for the Senate says that the 3% for the host community is estimated to be $502.8 million, while the 5% by the House of Representatives is about $838.05 million. Now, should the Harmonization Committee agree to a concurrence, to come the middle way to about 4%, that would be about $770.4 million. Both chambers were careful about the rates. This was to ensure that it is competitive enough to attract investors and not too high to scare away investors. There is the other 30% for frontier exploration, which has created the impression that that is far too high compared to the host communities. But the chairman, the spokesperson for the Senate says that it is estimated that 30% is estimated and put at $315 million. That is about just 62.7% of what the host communities will get. So the 30% is actually looks big and is creating an impression that it is far bigger than what the host communities are getting when you look at the 3%.
I think that the play on numbers is something that should be avoided. These are not absolute figures.
With their estimations.
They're not absolute figures. And the basis for the computation is not the same. 30% of the profits of NNPC to be utilized for frontier exploration. That's NNPC profit.
Yes.
And 3% approved by the Senate, 5% approved by the House of Representatives relates to the expenditure by oil exploration companies in the host communities.
Which
so
is quite
there are different subheads. And then to say that the amount that will come to the host communities will be $500 million, it is not correct because that amount is not fixed. So if the expenditure pattern goes down, it means that the 3% or 5% of that will also come down. And by the way, it is not one host community. Of course, if you look at the number of oil-producing states in Nigeria, from Ondo through South to Imo State, and then the number of communities, count them, and then divide it, assuming the $500 million is absolute. Count it and then see how much it comes to. And then the issue is not that you get the money and you start saying, okay, Mr. X, take this one, take this one. Those environments are often damaged or otherwise destroyed by oil production and exploration activities. So what do you do in terms of remediation, not just for the current generation, but for future generation?
That is very critical because bringing down the amount in figures, would be absolutely wrong for now because there's also fluctuation, in the industry. So you cannot say categorically that 5% will yield this social amount of money, 3% will yield this amount of money.
No, for the purposes of example, the chairman, the spokesperson for the Senate, used the current rate provided by the NNPC, so cite it as an example because the two computations, like Kinsley explained, are from two different perspectives. So if you look at physically at the physical number, 30%, 3%, you can see that there's a whole gap in between it. And, well, let's hope that by the time they go to concurrence, an agreement will be reached and it will be a way forward.
I want to draw your attention to the lead story on the Daily Trust newspaper. Northern elders of Fenifere back Rep's quest to create a state police. I wanted to speak on that based on the menace, or continued menace by the bandits, across the country.
It's at the House of Representatives. The bill actually has passed a second reading, and the intention is to seek to amend a section of the Constitution, section 197(1), and it is providing a new section E and F, and the provision is to provide for State Police Council and State Police Services Commission. The whole idea is that the House of Rep is proposing to devolve the responsibility of police from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list. By so doing, the state will be able to have their own state police council as well as state police services. It's a continuation of devolving security and allowing states to have its state police command.
Well, yeah, you have a comment on that. I want to go to another issue.
The other issue which must be of interest to all of us is that NNPC says that in 2 years, Nigeria will be exporting petrol out of this country.
They will be exporting petrol out of the country in the next 2 years?
Yes.
That means our refineries
by the year 2023.
Our refineries will be producing
the GMD of the NNPC gave this at a petroleum event yesterday. And he said specifically, if you recall, already the rehabilitation of Port Harcourt refinery is already underway. That of Kaduna and Warri will join this month. And the expectation is that they will meet their targets, and by the year 2023, we will not only stop importing, we probably will be exporting.
Well, GMD was our guest on Good Morning Nigeria last week, and he sat where you sat.
Yes.
And he raised some of these issues in terms of expected quantum of refined petroleum products. The Dangote refinery, of course, is also being targeted. There's also an investment that NNPC is eyeing that one, the rehabilitation of Port Harcourt refinery, and then, of course, Warri and Kaduna will also come on stream. But again, all of these things will depend on all things being equal. All things being equal. But the other thing, Kirian, I know that you are itching to say something. Just pardon this. I think that we must generate a national consensus now on what it appears to be that mass kidnapping has become the new normal. Mass kidnapping. These 121 school children are in the hands of bandits, and the bandits are declaring that we are holding 121 Kaduna school pupils. It's like every month or every other fortnight, there is a story about mass kidnapping. The pupils who were kidnapped from the Islamia school in Niger State, have they been freed? So, I mean, this just cannot continue. What is our national consensus on this? The rest of us cannot be going about our business and they say, it's the headache of Kaduna, it's the headache of Zamfara, it's the headache of Niger.
In fact, until you travel by land, you appreciate what Christian had just said, because that was why I asked you to speak to this issue of a state police, because all are geared towards securing the nation. Because what is obtainable at the moment in terms of kidnapping or banditry is becoming outrageous, and no country can survive under this kind of circumstance, because the school system, educational system is being affected adversely.
In fact, the UNESCO has made a pronouncement that kidnapping is affecting the initiative to send children to school. Currently, we have 348 students that are being held by bandits, one criminal gang or the other. 121, the last one in Bethel. There is 136 from Tejina, and there is still 86 from Federal Government College Yauri. If you put that together, 348 students.
These are people, these are teenagers. And
young boys, young girls, including infants who were taken from the Islamia schools.
All right, but I mean, there can be no end to this conversation on the issue of banditry and kidnapped persons in Nigeria. We just hope and pray that something can happen and bring that to an end. And this is where we call it a day on this segment. Well, thank you for your analysis. We hope to see you again tomorrow for more on Newspaper Review. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. We will take a short break now, but when we come back, we shall be dealing with the issues in Nigeria's electoral reforms. Do stay with us.